through the Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Welcome, fans, to another episode of The Spread. I'm your host, Jim Sella, in studio with co-host JDash and Big Easy. No JK47 today. We're going to bust out a little prospect check for you. Who do we got going this week, Dash?
Well, our hitter is going to be the Philadelphia Phillies third baseman Maikel Franco, and the pitcher will be Boston Red Sox starting pitcher Eduardo Rodriguez. But we're going to start with Franco. He actually just got called up yesterday, Friday, May 15th, and made his season debut, not his major league debut. He played last season, but he went 0 for 4 with a strikeout.
Garbage.
His debut last season, he didn't fare too well there either. He got 56 at-bats and hit just 179 with a 190 on base, so nothing great there, obviously. But he showed some promise in the minor leagues. He's just 22 years old. He's from the Dominican Republic. Azua? You ever hear of Azua in the Dominican Republic?
Nope.
Me neither. But he's 6'1", 215 pounds. He's a pretty big guy, and he's supposed to have some pretty big power. What's his power grade?
65.
Yeah, see, that's pretty high for a hitter, and you'd expect him to be able to hit something around 30 home runs a season. In fact, in 2013, he hit 31 home runs, had 103 RBIs, and he struck out just 70 times in 541 at-bats.
Dude, slower than my grandma, though.
Oh, yeah, and he might have a little bit of trouble adjusting to third base in the bigs, but he hit 320 that season. Now, the one problem, he's never going to have a high on-base percentage because he doesn't draw many walks, and that might affect his batting average in the bigs too. So I really don't expect him to hit around 300 in the bigs, but maybe a 280 hitter, and he could maybe get you 30 home runs. What's his hitting grade?
50.
Just a 50.
Garbage.
Yeah, see, even though he had that big season in 2013.
Does he play for the Pirates? This dude's terrible.
Don't give me that crap. In 2014, he actually played in AAA, and he had a down season. He started out real slow. He picked it up later in the season and actually ended up with 16 home runs and 521 at-bats, but he only hit 257 with a 299 on base to end the season, so nothing great there. But this season, he was killing it. He actually had a good season in the Arizona Fall League, and he carried it over this year to AAA, hitting 355 with a 384 on base, already 4 jacks and 141 at-bats. So we'll have to see what happens here, but they had to call him up. Philadelphia really has nothing going for him right now. They got to start their youth movement now. Cody Ash, they were hoping he could be their third baseman. He really hasn't worked out. They're going to try him in the outfield now, but he's not really a good hitter, so I don't even see Cody Ash staying on this team long term. I'd get him out of the lineup now and just try to put more youth in your lineup. They have another prospect in JP Crawford as well, who is going to be a beast. He's a top 10 prospect in my mind. He's top 25 on most lists, though.
They need to sign Big Easy. He can play first base and drink a beer at the same time.
Well,
Bet you none of these dudes can.
I'll tell you what, Philadelphia's struggling. They only got 14 wins in 37 games, and obviously, you know, they uploaded on home tracks to those guys, Utley and Howard and all them, and they had a great run, but now they're in a transition, which is tough.
Might as well play the young guys now.
Yeah, well, the best thing about him is he could play third or first if they need him to. So, I mean, I know you got Howard there, but
they're going to be trying to deal him very soon,
right,
so who knows? He could move over to first if they find someone they like better at third base, or if they want to move Ash back in the infield.
And he has, like you said, he's got the power to all fields. He has a plus arm. I mean,
I really like his strikeout rate, too. For a power guy, it's hard to find a guy that doesn't strike out too much, and he showed that in the minors. Now, I don't know if he's going to be able to keep it up in the bigs, but it's a possibility, and that's a rare find. But like we're saying, they got Cole Hamels, who they could deal. They have Ryan Howard, who they could deal. Chase Utley, they could deal. Ben Revere, they could deal. So they got a lot of guys they can get rid of. Bring in some more young prospects to go along with Franco and J.P. Crawford. You got Gelvis is playing pretty well at shortstop right now. That young guy, Odubel Herrera, He's a rookie this season, and he's showed a little bit of promise. So they just got to start that youth movement, get rid of these older guys, bring in some guys to put around Franco. You might be able to turn it around quicker than you think.
Won't the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs miss him?
I'm sure they will this season. Like I said, he was killing it this year.
Minor League Baseball is ridiculous.
Well, there's so many teams, you got to name them something. Iron Pigs,
Iron
you don't
Pigs?
like that?
Good
Reminds
Lord.
me of Ozzy Osbourne for some reason.
Makes me think of a cartoon with cyborg pigs.
I guess because Black Sabbath did Iron Man and War Pigs. They just put it together.
There you go.
Iron Pigs. But let's move on to Eduardo Rodriguez here.
Why do I want to keep calling him Eduardo Sanchez? Is that the guy who helped found Facebook?
I have no clue, is it?
I don't know.
Eduardo Rodriguez is in Triple-A right now, playing in the International League. He's just 22 years old. He's from Venezuela. There's a lot of good ball players coming out of Venezuela these days. Now, this guy's a big lefty, 6'2", 210 pounds. He was actually in the Baltimore Orioles system a couple years ago and got traded to Boston for Andrew Miller, who Boston had at the time. But now, actually, Andrew Miller is pitching at the back end of the Yankees bullpen and dominating this season, looking like one of the best closers in all of baseball. So, in turn, Boston actually got rid of a guy that's hurting them right now. But Eduardo Rodriguez, for the Baltimore Orioles, he was never really a dominant starter. He had a 2.22 ERA in 2011, which is pretty nice, but it was 3.41 in 2013. And in 2014 with the Orioles, he had a 4.79 ERA with just 69 strikeouts and 82.2 innings before being traded to Boston. But then in Boston's Double-A affiliate, he started dominating immediately. Through six starts last season with Portland, he had an 0.96 ERA and had 39 strikeouts and 37.1 innings with just 8 walks. Now, you think that's just a short sample, so you really got to see what he does this season. And look, he came out and he's doing the same thing. 34.2 innings pitched, 34 Ks, just 5 walks. That's elite type control, and that's what you want to see, and especially out of a left-hander. If you can find dominant lefties, look at Kershaw or a Cole Hamels. Those guys dominated for years, and his ERA sits at 2.86 right now in the minors. And Boston just put Justin Masterson on a DL. Now they're bringing in a guy by the name of Stephen Wright to replace him in his next turn. But I'm thinking after that, this guy is not a long-term solution. They're going to be calling up someone. Now, Boston has Eduardo Rodriguez, Henry Owens, and Brian Johnson, 3 very good prospect pitchers. But Eduardo Rodriguez seems to me to be the first one they'll call up, and it could be very soon. In fact, within the next week, I'm thinking.
Nobody in Boston's rotation has an ERA under 4.5 right now, so they could use all the help they can get.
Yeah, there's
In the
always
starting
there's
rotation.
always a possibility they can slide into Joe Kelly's spot too, because I'm not sure if Boston, I mean, they're going to give him a couple more starts, but I'm not sure if Boston's really solid with Joe Kelly's performance right now.
Yeah, I think Joe Kelly would be the one that I would take out of the rotation first after Masterson comes back. But really, Masterson shouldn't even come back to this rotation. Wade Miley's struggling right now, and if he can't pick it up, I wouldn't deal with him all season if he can't pull it together. He should be a better pitcher than this, though. And Rick Porcello I'd keep in the rotation. I know he has a 4.50 ERA right now. It's a little higher than you want.
That's the best in their starting rotation right
But
now.
Porcello's a pretty good pitcher all in all. And Clay Buchholz actually had a bounce back start in his last turn. And I'd stick with him. Other than that, Joe Kelly, Justin Masterson, and maybe Wade Miley all got to go out of this rotation if they don't pick it up soon. And like I said, Rodriguez, Owens, and Brian Johnson, all 3 of them should be in this rotation in my opinion, because Boston got to win now. Look at their offense. They put hitters all over the place on their offensive side, and they have good hitters in the minors that they can't even bring up right now because there's just no room. And I'm talking about a guy like Rusney Castillo. So they got to bring some pitchers in here to actually compete with the Yankees and right now the Rays, it looks like, but there's also Toronto and Baltimore in that division. All those teams can make a run.
Well, for some weird reason, there's reports that after the trade, his fastball picked up velocity. What does that? I mean, is he just?
Well, here's the thing. Maybe Boston seen something in him when they went and scouted him for the Orioles that they didn't like. Something with his windup or his arm slot. Just look at Melanson. His velocity was down 3 miles an hour earlier this season because his arm slot was lower than it was in previous years. Maikel Franco or Eduardo Rodriguez, who has the better career ahead of him?
Right now, I'm going to give it to the pitcher because he's already with a better team.
You can always specialize in pitching, too. If you become a great bullpen guy, you can make a living off of pitching 3 innings a week and make millions of dollars.
I mean, we'll have to go with Eduardo Rodriguez. He's young. He's got a good arm. He can stay healthy. He's got an athletic build. I mean, he's a guy that I can see pitching for the next 10 years.
His fastball grades out at a 65 right now. That's pretty good for a pitcher. So you expect him to sit in the mid-90s, maybe low 90s sometimes. But his second best pitch is a changeup. It's rated a 60 right now, and the fastball changeup can work. It can also work out of the bullpen too if he doesn't make it in the rotation, like you were just saying.
Especially for a lefty. You know, it's tough to find lefties that can control their pitches, and you always get that lefty-lefty combination, and people always moving people around, so you could force the other team into doing things they don't want to do if you can get a dominant left-handed pitcher.
Yeah, MLB.com actually has his control at a 50 right now, but that was more of what he looked like in the Orioles system. Here in the Boston system, he looks, I mean, you could put it up around a 65 right about now.
He's drinking that Pawtucket Patriot beer.
Please believe.
Easy, who has the better chance of playing a lot this year?
Right off the bat, unless Boston makes a trade or it all depends about Masterson, his health. If Wright comes in, if Wright can get the job done, then you're going to have it depends on what Kelly does. So,
yeah, Franco already has to step up because he's up there and he's going to be starting
now already. So there's guys in in lefty's way here. So I'll say Franco.
Yeah, Franco, all he has to do is he has to hit better than he did last season when he got his call-up, or else he's going to be sent back down in the minors. I'm sure he has options left. But long-term, I think Franco can be a decent player. 30 home runs is possible. I think more of a low to mid-20s from year to year, and maybe a 280 average at best with a low on-base percentage. Eduardo Rodriguez, I can see this guy maybe not sticking to a 1 strikeout per inning rate. It could drop a little bit lower than that as he gets to the bigs, but with his control right now, he can still be a top end of the rotation type of pitcher, and you gotta love lefties that have dominating stuff.
Well, that's all we got for you. Thank you guys for coming in studio. Thank you, fans, for listening. Fans, if you like our baseball coverage, you can check out our extra bases segment and our cork segment. You guys can follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. Follow me on Twitter at betjimthewin. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to that YouTube channel.
Spread it.